Noah and I were childhood sweethearts, strolling together from our school days in uniforms all the way to our wedding gowns. But things took a tragic turn when I stumbled upon the heartbreaking discovery that the girl who held the most precious spot in his heart had passed away on our wedding day. Our marriage was weighed down by this heavy secret, and it became clear that Noah was harboring resentment deep inside. In this new chapter of our lives, I stepped in to help him address his biggest regret. However, over time, Noah began to look worn out and questioned how he could have messed up such a great relationship. If it hadn't been for my laptop acting up and needing to borrow Noah's computer left in the study temporarily, I wouldn't have uncovered that he had another account. That other account had a ton of replies, sparking my curiosity about what he was up to. I clicked on it and came across a pretty common question. What's the most regrettable thing in your life? Noah, who was always straightforward and clear, surprisingly gave a much longer answer this time. I didn't have the guts to walk away from a relationship that everyone recognized and let a wonderful girl die in the year when she deeply loved me. The first sentence hit me hard, my head started buzzing, and I felt dizzy, my mind going blank. Noah didn't name anyone, but I already knew who he was referring to. Mia, a high school classmate who had long admired Noah, took her own life on our wedding day. She chose the most extreme way to make Noah remember her on such an important day for both of us. But I never knew that Noah had these feelings buried in his heart. I closed my eyes to calm my pounding head and continued reading Noah's answers line by line. Noah and I were childhood sweethearts who got together after the college entrance exams. After 3 years of a long-distance relationship during graduate school, we moved back to the same city to settle down and build our lives together. Our relationship was witnessed and envied by many. The pressure of everyone watching made me stick strictly to the path we were on. I preferred to marry and have kids step by step, rather than face the reality that my feelings had shifted. The girl who died was our high school classmate and later worked in the city where I did my graduate studies. In my second year of grad school, I almost had an accident and she got hurt trying to save me. During many moments of our long-distance relationship, I felt a deep sense of emptiness. Often when I turned around, I could see her standing behind me, smiling at me. But I still chose the safer path, proposed to my wife, and got married as planned. Tragically, the girl took her own life on our wedding day. Until her death, I never expressed what was truly on my mind, that she was still in my heart. For a long time after, I felt our marriage drove her to such an end, leaving me with resentment. This became my secret and my biggest regret. It wasn't until my vision blurred and my keyboard got wet from my tears that I realized I had been crying without even knowing it. The sound of the door opening from the entrance hall snapped me back. I quickly pulled myself together, regained my composure, and stepped outside. That evening, Noah was showering in the bathroom, and the sound of running water filled the room. I lay on the bed, curled up, replaying every word he had written over and over, feeling my heart swell and ache constantly. Noah, you weren't the only one struggling with the long distance. So was I. I also felt helpless, longing for him to be by my side while we were actually more than 2,000 kilometers apart. I endured stronger emotional turmoil after brief reunions and met great guys nearby during our time apart. But it turned out that Noah had already found another way to cope with his longing, and I hadn't noticed it at all. The next morning, as usual, Noah sent our son to school first and then drove me to work. As we approached a red light, I suddenly said, "Yesterday, I read a novel about rebirth. It was pretty interesting. What if we could live our lives again? Would we make the same choices?" Noah seemed a bit intrigued and asked with a smile, "Which aspect are you talking about?" "Every aspect. Studies, career, partner." His smile froze for a second when he heard partner. The countdown on the red light had already begun. Noah regained his smile and said, "Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with my current life." He even asked me in return, "Why? Don't tell me you want to change your husband." I looked down and didn't respond. "Noah, you're really something," I muttered. When the light turned green, Noah restarted the car and drove in our familiar direction. Suddenly, a car sped around the corner and crashed straight into us, catching us completely off guard. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back in the year before I was about to graduate from the 3rd year of graduate school. I double-checked everything around me in disbelief and finally accepted that I had been reborn. What about Noah? Had he been reborn, too? I quickly took out my phone and dialed a video call to him. It connected quickly, and his young, familiar face appeared on the screen. He asked me with a smile, "Wake up." I nodded blankly, and he continued, "Then hurry up and get up to wash and have breakfast, or there won't be anything left in the cafeteria. I still have an experiment to do later. I'll find you at lunchtime." I replied with an "okay" and hung up the phone, then fell into deep thought. It seemed Noah hadn't been reborn like me. At this point, he should have already been in touch with Mia, but I didn't know how far it had gone. I remembered the question I had asked Noah. If we could live our lives again, would we make the same choices? I couldn't help but stroke our photo on my phone's screen. He had been in my life for so long, and I had loved him for so long. I had always firmly believed he would be the one to stay with me forever. How could I just let go of him so easily? "Noah, can we give each other one last chance?" I checked the schedule and saw I had no classes on Friday. With the weekend coming up, I had 3 days off. Determined, I bought a plane ticket to the city where Noah was. However, when I rushed to his school to surprise him, he hung up on my call. I was stunned for a moment. Noah had never directly hung up on my calls before. Even if he was busy, he would quickly answer, briefly explain, and then hang up. But now, after hanging up on me once, a sense of grievance surged within me. I waited outside the school alone for a long time, but he didn't call me back. Yvonne immediately came to mind, but I didn't have her contact info and didn't even know which school she was attending. Just when I found a high school classmate who knew Ivan to ask about her, Noah's roommate happened to return to school and recognized me. He asked in surprise, "Why are you here?" Noah had asked for leave and bought a ticket to go home yesterday. "Didn't he tell you?" It was impossible for Noah to leave without informing me. At the same time, the high school classmate also told me that Mia hadn't gone to graduate school and was already working. He added, "I heard from her family that her mother died of a sudden heart attack yesterday." He should have gone back for the funeral. Our hometowns were the same city. So, Noah didn't go back to his own home but stayed to accompany Mia. I wasn't aware of this in my previous life. With this speculation, I felt a thread wrapped around my heart, constantly pulling it downwards. I couldn't wait for him to return and explain. Following the address my classmate gave me, I bought the fastest bullet train ticket and headed there. In the small auditorium of the funeral home, I stood at the door and saw Noah in a black suit, accompanying Mia, whose eyes were red. He gently supported her and thanked everyone who came to offer condolences one by one. He looked just like family. My hands hung by my sides, trembling slightly, and a nauseating feeling surged in my stomach. I guess my face must have been pale too. Noah noticed me quickly, and a hint of panic flashed in his eyes. Subconsciously, he wanted to walk over to me, but considering Mia's emotions, he just moved a bit and then stopped. I didn't say a word. I just gestured to him with my mouth. "Come with me." Noah shook his head with a troubled look and pleaded with me through his eyes, asking me to understand that he couldn't leave Mia alone right now. He was also asking for time to handle this and explain later. In an instant, my eyes filled with tears. People always said I was independent and emotionally stable, but that wasn't the case. In front of Noah, I could also drop my toughness and show my vulnerable side, but at this moment, he still stood there motionless. So, Mia had already become that important. Out of respect for the deceased, I couldn't argue with him on such an occasion. I closed my eyes, barely managing to steady my weak body, didn't say another word, but just gave him one more look. I'd rather use up my last bit of stubbornness to turn around and leave than lose my dignity. With just one look, Noah could see the despair in my eyes. This time, he couldn't care about anything else. He straightened Mia's body and chased after me. "Sophie, listen to me explain." He grabbed my wrist anxiously. "Mia's mother died of a sudden heart attack yesterday after the rescue failed. She couldn't handle it alone. Mia's father had run away from home many years ago and never came back." "Noah," I looked at him with a bitter expression. "I didn't even know when your relationship with Mia reached this level. From the moment you hung up on my first call until now, you haven't sent me a single message or returned my call, even once." Noah opened his mouth as if to say something, but then, remembering something, his face flushed red. In the end, he just lowered his eyes and didn't explain. he only whispered an apology to me. I pointed towards the small auditorium and said, "Among those people, anyone is more suitable than you to stand beside Mia to handle her mother's funeral affairs. Who are you to her?" Hearing this, shame crossed Noah's face. I hadn't thought that much. She was almost fainting from crying when she called me. I really just wanted to help her. I'm sorry. It was my improper consideration. At that moment, I finally deeply felt the connection between him and Ivan. Suddenly, I realized my previous thoughts were really ridiculous. What was the point of fighting for one last chance? It was clear Noah had already developed feelings for Ivan. Even if I insisted on being with him, we'd still end up with the same result as in my previous life. Mia, who couldn't be with him, would still remain a scar on his heart, while I, as his wife, would be nothing special. I shook my head and pulled my hand out of his grip. Noah, you're nervous about her. You care about her. And you even like her. Noah's eyes widened, looking at me in disbelief. What are you thinking? I'm just because she once saved me. Realizing he had blurted out something I didn't know, Noah abruptly stopped talking. My eyes were sore and uncomfortable, but I still stared at him firmly and said in a slightly hoarse voice, "Noah, you've been better than me in everything since we were kids. But there's one thing. You can't compare to me." I forced a smile at the corner of my mouth, and tears uncontrollably fell. I'm braver than you. People's hearts can change. I've always known that no one can guarantee with 100% certainty that their feelings for someone will never change. I'm braver than Noah in facing the problems in our relationship. Just as he answered that question, so many people witnessed our relationship. We carried their expectations, but those expectations shouldn't become the chains binding us. Now, facing this young Noah in front of me, I don't want to repeat the same mistakes. So what if others think it's a pity to give up a relationship that has lasted many years? Why can't I have someone who wholeheartedly lives with me? Noah didn't know what I had been through, nor did he understand my mood at this moment. He just felt that the breakup came so suddenly. I, who had always been understanding, didn't even listen to his explanation this time. There was a look of grievance in Noah's eyes for being misunderstood. "Sophie, why can you break up with me so easily? What do our years of relationship mean to you?" I lowered my eyes and slowly took off the necklace around my neck. Then I shoved the ring from the necklace back into Noah's hand. In our previous life, this ring finally became our wedding ring. I don't need it in this life, Noah. I'll make the decision that you can't make. In relationships, 3 people are too crowded. You can't hold umbrellas for 2 people at the same time either. Noah's face turned pale. I wiped the tears from my face. "Noah, I'm the one who proposed the breakup this time. No one will think it's your fault. You don't need to feel pressured anymore. I'm letting you go, and I'm also letting myself go. I just hope that this time you can live according to your heart." I took a deep breath and exhaled heavily. Let's just go back to being friends who grew up together. After saying that, I turned around and left, leaving Noah frozen in place, forgetting to move. On my way back to school, my phone kept vibrating in my bag. Noah's calls and messages kept coming in. I glanced at them and finally turned off the screen, leaned against the window, and fell asleep. When I returned to the dormitory exhausted, my roommates gathered around me in surprise. "What's going on? I thought you'd be radiant after seeing your boyfriend." "Why do you look like you've been through a disaster?" I waved my hand, took a quick shower, and then got into bed. That night, I had a high fever. Noah couldn't reach me, so he had to contact my roommates to ask if I had returned to the dormitory. They didn't know about our breakup, so they told him the truth about my situation. After my fever subsided and I regained some energy, one of my roommates brought porridge from the cafeteria while praising Noah. "Your boyfriend was so worried when he heard you were sick. He asked us to do so many things. We're almost jealous to death." I took a sip of the porridge and quietly confessed, I broke up with him. Don't tell him about my affairs anymore in the future. My roommates were dumbfounded, but knew I wasn't the type to joke around or casually break up with someone out of a petty temper, so they could only ask dryly, "Why?" I shook my head, unwilling to disclose it. My roommates were silent for a while and finally comforted me. "It's okay. Although you don't have a boyfriend now, you've become one of us, for single dogs." It would have been better if they hadn't comforted me. The pain of being dumped was soon briefly overshadowed by the research project. As someone who had graduated years ago, I was extremely busy, staying in the library until very late every day. While others started their winter vacations, we were still at school helping our supervisor deal with all sorts of issues. Noah had a holiday earlier than me. Since he hadn't had a chance to have a proper talk with me, he came directly to my school after the holiday. I was still in the process of getting over him and didn't want to see him. Because outsiders weren't allowed to enter our school casually, Noah could only wait outside every day, hoping I would change my mind. I sent him a message. Go back. There's no need to wait anymore. Noah replied, I just want to see you once. Although I was usually easygoing, I also had my own persistence. I said, we'll surely meet during the holiday. Our two families live opposite each other and have such a good relationship that it's inevitable to meet. However, I didn't expect Mia had also chased after him. One day, when I had something to do and went out of the school, I saw Mia and Noah chatting at the school gate in a glance. They noticed me soon and walked quickly towards me. Mia took the lead and said, Sophie, I came here specially to explain. I was helpless and didn't know what to do. There, Noah was the only old classmate I had, so I could only seek his help. We're not in the relationship you thought. Although I stopped to listen to her, my attitude remained unmoved. Seeing this, Mia could only say to Noah, let me talk to her alone. Then she pulled me to a spot quite a distance away from Noah before stopping. With her back to Noah, he couldn't see the slight upward curve of her mouth at all, and her tone changed instantly. Sophie, do you know why he didn't answer your call and didn't take the initiative to contact you last time? Because I told him I hoped he could accompany me wholeheartedly for a while and not think about others. Her mother had just passed away, yet she still had the mind to think about this. No wonder when I questioned Noah that day, he couldn't even bring himself to explain. I calmly said, Mia, I don't even have a way to contact you. Mia looked puzzled, not understanding why I said this irrelevant sentence. That means you're not important to me. You don't need to try to get my attention like this in front of me. You don't need to pay attention to me either. Let's just keep the relationship of classmates without any contact. Mia's face turned red and then pale with anger. She turned around with red eyes and looked at Noah pitifully. Seeing that her expression was wrong, Noah frowned and walked over with big strides. Why are your eyes red? Mia apologized. Noah, I'm sorry. I can't help you. I've already explained, but Sophie still can't understand. I really have no way. Her sad, lost, and guilty look made me seem a bit heartless. Noah looked at me with a disapproving look, and his tone lost patience. Almost blurting out, he complained, Why won't you just believe me? I didn't do anything else to let you down except helping her. Why can't you understand? Mia's mother just passed away and she's all alone now. She's at the most vulnerable time and needs someone's help. She's also your classmate. Can't you show a little bit of classmate friendship? My hands hung by my sides, clenching into fists tightly, and my already cut short nails dug into my flesh, causing sharp pain. Even though I had decided to let him go, I couldn't help feeling angry at his words. Just because Mia showed a bit of weakness, what kind of person have I become in Noah's eyes? My voice turned cold. If you two come here on purpose or to show me how deep your friendship is, then there's no need. Whether you're classmates or whatever, it has nothing to do with me. Noah, I've already broken up with you. Or do you want me to find a boyfriend right now so that you'll feel no burden when you're with her? Noah didn't expect me to say such words. He said in a deep voice, I must have been out of my mind to want to come here to save our relationship. After saying that, he didn't look at me again and walked away quickly, pulling Mia along. While being pulled away, Mia looked back at me with a smug smile. It wasn't until the spring festival was approaching that my supervisor kindly let me go home. On New Year's Eve, as expected, our two families had dinner together. Noah was still angry, and both families clearly noticed the tension between us. When I went to the kitchen to help serve the dishes, my mother asked me in a low voice, Did you have a quarrel with Noah? I pursed my lips and didn't say anything. I hadn't found the right moment to tell my family about the breakup. So, although I could have taken this chance to tell my mother now, since it was the spring festival, I didn't want to spoil their mood, so I remained silent. After dinner, both parents urged us to go out for a walk, trying to recreate the world for just the two of us, because every New Year's Eve in the past, Noah and I would go to see the lantern show. Noah didn't say anything, and I shook my head and said, no, then went back to my room. I planned to check information about the business schools I liked abroad during this holiday. In my previous life, after graduating from graduate school, Noah and I both came back to this city to settle down and develop. However, now I had a different plan. I wanted to go abroad to continue my studies and see a different world. It wasn't until I received a text from the courier about my package being detained that I remembered my package had been left in the locker for a long time and I hadn't picked it up yet. So I put on my clothes and went downstairs. Just as I closed the locker door, I heard Mia's familiar voice. She asked Noah if he could accompany her for a walk. During the spring festival, every family was having a reunion, and she was alone at home, feeling very lonely. The courier locker was set at the corner of the building's entrance, so they didn't see me at all. I slightly turned my head and saw that after a moment of silence, Noah nodded and said to her, "Let's go." The difference between having a shifted heart and not was really obvious. In the past, Noah had a strong sense of boundaries. Now, he had lost that sense and couldn't even clarify things. In his current state, he was still deceiving himself that he hadn't changed and wanted to save our relationship. Suddenly, I remembered that at this time in my previous life, Noah said he had something to do and needed to go out for a while. It was such an ordinary thing that I wouldn't have thought much about it at all. I probably wouldn't even have remembered it, but now it strangely matched up. I had been too confident in this relationship. So many traceable moments in my previous life were naturally ignored by me. Watching them walk away together, I couldn't deny that I felt something. My heart still felt blocked, and I felt uncomfortable all over. I thought to myself that I should give myself more time. Although I'm still affected by it now, no matter how deep the feelings are, with time, I will surely come to terms with it. I wrapped my coat tightly around me and turned to enter the building, walking in a completely different direction from Noah. My holiday was very short, less than half a month in total. During the spring festival, although both families were busy visiting relatives, they tacitly tried to create more opportunities for Noah and me to spend time together. Seeing this, I thought about resolving this matter before going back to school. So when they asked us to go on a date again, I simply told them about the breakup. Both sets of parents were shocked, and even Noah looked at me in surprise. I calmly looked back at him. "Noah, this is the difference between you and me. We carried the same expectations, and it was inevitable that we would care about other people's opinions. However, the world is full of distractions and other people, and there is only oneself. Finding yourself and facing your true inner thoughts directly is the most important thing." After the breakup was settled, regardless of what the parents thought, I took my luggage and boarded the bus back to school. Since I had decided to continue my studies abroad after graduating, I was busy with my thesis while starting to prepare materials for applying to foreign universities. 2 months later, I learned from a high school classmate that Noah and Mia were together. At that time, I was still preparing for the IELTS exam. The classmate was shocked and asked how Noah could be with Mia. He even sent me a screenshot of Mia's WeChat moments. The caption read, "Thank you for fulfilling my years of waiting," accompanied by a picture of Noah reading a book. I stared at the screenshot for a few seconds, my eyelashes trembling slightly, and finally pressed the exit button and deleted it. It had been 3 months since we broke up. It's his freedom to be with whoever he wants, for a while. The classmate didn't know how to reply. After holding back for a long time, he cautiously sent a message. "Are you okay?" I blinked my eyes, looked at the correct rate on the real exam paper, and then replied, "I'm fine." Noah wasn't the type to post much on WeChat moments, and there were even fewer posts about his life. But that didn't stop me from knowing that he and Mia were likely enjoying their life together. After all, Mia had sent me text messages several times, asking about Noah's likes and habits. She was clearly playing the role of a considerate and attentive girlfriend. Although I never replied, it still annoyed me. I didn't want to trap myself in their lives. So on a certain Saturday, I directly made a video call to Noah. Noah answered quickly and was even a bit surprised that I took the initiative to contact him. He gently asked, "Sophie, what's the matter?" I got straight to the point. "Is Mia with you now?" Noah was stunned for a moment and replied, "Yes, okay, both of you sit together." Noah looked outside the camera with confusion and then walked over to Mia and sat beside her. The two of them appeared on the camera together. I combined all the text messages that Mia had sent me into one picture and sent it to them. Check out the picture. Is there a barrier between you two? Can't you communicate directly? Do you have to go through me? Besides, haven't you two been in contact for a long time? Don't you even know if he's allergic to anything? Noah didn't understand what was going on. After looking at the picture, he was stunned for a few seconds before looking at Mia. Mia, who originally intended to show off and irritate me, turned pale when she heard this and hurriedly explained to Noah in a stuttering manner, "I didn't want you to think that I'm not as good as her. That's why I wanted to learn more about you from her, but Sophie should still care. It was my thoughtlessness." Noah's Adam's apple moved, and he still comforted her gently. "You can ask me directly in the future." Then he apologized to me, saying that he wouldn't bother me like this again. "Mia, I find that you're quite good-looking." Both of them were stunned when they heard this. "You have a kind of beauty that seems to lack a brainstem." Although I'm not a competitive person, I'm not a pushover either. If Mia thought that I would choose to swallow my anger, she was completely wrong. Noah frowned, looking a bit unhappy. "Can't you talk properly?" Yes, I brought the topic back to the questions that Mia had asked me, and my eyes fell on the person who looked embarrassed and aggrieved. "Don't you want to know if Noah is allergic to anything?" "Indeed he is." "He's allergic to idiots," I said. Without waiting for their reaction, I directly hung up the video call. After that, Mia restrained herself and didn't do anything stupid again, and my world became quiet. In late May, after my IELTS results came out, I also successfully completed my graduation defense in mid-June. Since we were all going our separate ways, the four of us in the dormitory decided to take a 2-month trip. On the slow and lively long-distance trains, amidst voices singing about the motherland's mountains and rivers, youth and friendship, dreams and freedom, time and time again, and seeing vast mountains, lakes, grasslands, and deserts repeatedly, I finally found healing. When I thought of Noah in my free time, there were no more ripples in my heart. It had only been a few months. When I returned home in early September and brought local specialties to give to Noah's father and aunt, I noticed something was wrong with his uncle's health. After asking carefully, I learned that his lumbar spine issue had pressed on the nerves of his lower limbs, making it impossible for him to sit for long or even put on his shoes. Sleeping was also torture for him. They were still undergoing conservative treatment, taking medicine plus physiotherapy, but a month had passed with no improvement. I asked them to send me the X-ray films and hospital reports, and I forwarded them to a classmate studying medicine for help. Soon I got a reply. "Sophie, I've reviewed the films and reports with the professor. The lumbar disc herniation is very serious. Minimally invasive surgery won't be effective. A major operation is needed." I asked my uncle and aunt if Noah knew about this situation. They said he had mentioned his lumbar spine discomfort once before, but Noah was too busy and hadn't come back, and there had been few greetings. I frowned and called Noah to explain the situation. Noah was surprised and felt guilty. "I've been really too busy to handle everything recently and have ignored the family affairs. I'll ask for leave and rush back." It took Noah some time to ask for leave and hand over his work. So I took my uncle to the hospital first to rearrange the examination and treatment matters. When Noah rushed to the hospital 3 days later, my uncle had already been admitted and undergone preoperative physical examinations. He looked tired and had lost a lot of weight, and Noah was accompanying my uncle in the ward. Then, Noah followed me and walked out. In my previous life after graduating from graduate school, Noah got an offer from the company he liked. By this time, he should have already returned to the city and started working. Why was he still staying in the city where he was studying for graduate school? I asked him in confusion, "Noah, didn't you come back to work here?" Noah's eyes looked a bit gloomy. He shook his head and said, "I originally planned to come back, but Mia didn't want to be in a long-distance relationship, and she didn't want to give up her job either. We even had a quarrel because of this. She was so emotional that I was worried about her, so I could only stay and chose another company." I furrowed my brows. Was that so? Previously, Mia had followed him back to the city without hesitation. The new job had just started and wasn't going smoothly. I was quite busy. Besides, Mia is emotionally sensitive. I really did lack concern for my family for a while. He rubbed his temples. "She didn't used to be like this. I don't know why she's like this now," Noah sighed. I'm kind of at a loss about how to make her satisfied and stop losing her temper with me at the slightest provocation. I gave him a glance and said truthfully, both work and your girlfriend are important, but don't let your parents down either. Noah nodded. It's my fault this time. Thanks to you. He turned to look at me with emotion swirling in his eyes, his Adam's apple bobbing up and down, but in the end, he just said, thank you. Uncle and Aunt have watched me grow up and been nice to me. It's only right for me to do something for them. Since you're back now, I'll leave first. I stood up. Uncle will have an operation tomorrow. My parents and I will come over again. I had walked a short distance before I heard Noah call out to me. Sophie? I stopped and turned to look at him. I heard you're preparing to study abroad? I nodded. Yes, I want to see a bigger world. He was silent for a moment and then smiled. That's good. Be careful on your way back. Okay. 3 days after my uncle's operation, Noah's holiday ended. His company and Mia bombarded him with phone calls one after another. Helplessly, he had to leave. On the way back, my mom recalled Noah and sighed deeply. That kid, why does he look so dispirited now? Is the work that tough? I shook my head, having no idea about it. However, one late night a few days later, I was sound asleep when I was woken up by a phone call from an unknown number. But it felt quite familiar. After answering, I found out it was Mia. I didn't know how much alcohol she had drunk, but she started cursing as soon as she opened her mouth. Sophie, don't you have any shame? We've already broken up. Noah is my boyfriend now. Why are you still lingering between him and me like a ghost? Don't forget that he chose me instead of you. I was left with a frown on my face. Mia, are you drunk on fake alcohol? Are you crazy like this? What do you know? Mia suddenly choked up, her voice full of sobs. Why? Why is he still thinking of you even though he's with me? I was about to hang up when Noah's voice came from the other end of the phone. Mia, what's wrong with you? Give me the phone. I'm crazy. You're just angry and embarrassed because I've exposed your thoughts. Don't think I don't know. You still have photos of you two saved on your computer. Why were you so nervous and angry when I deleted them? Have you been sneaking a look at them countless times when I'm not around? Noah, aren't you disgusting? It was you who changed your heart first, and that's why Sophie didn't want you anymore. I frowned tightly. I had no intention of getting involved in their affairs, especially since it involved me. I simply hung up the phone and went back to sleep. When I woke up the next day, I found that Noah had sent a WeChat message around 3 a.m. There were only 3 short words. I'm sorry. In fact, he didn't owe me an apology. He owed an apology to himself. Every time he didn't choose to face his inner self directly. In March of the following year, I left home and flew abroad to study. It wasn't until I was 28 years old that I accepted an invitation from a leading enterprise in China and returned to develop my career here. Coincidentally, my high school classmates organized a reunion, and I went gladly. To my surprise, Noah, whom I hadn't seen for a long time, was also there. He and Mia had gotten married 2 years ago. I couldn't attend their wedding later. Noah's father and aunt also moved in to live with them, saying it was convenient for taking care of the child. Since Noah wasn't in the city, I thought he wouldn't be able to come to this reunion. Ivan didn't come along either. His facial features hadn't really changed, but he somehow felt different from what I remembered. Compared to the classmates around him, he looked more tired. Everyone around was talking animatedly about work and family, but he was sitting quietly in a corner, out of tune with the atmosphere. It wasn't until I pushed the door open and walked in that his eyes fell on me. He seemed to want to say something but held back, as if there were many things he couldn't express. During dinner, he sat beside me. With glasses clinking and toasts being made at the dinner table, I didn't really have much chance to talk to him. Until the reunion ended and we were about to leave, I was waiting at the hotel entrance, and Noah silently accompanied me. I broke the silence and said, I didn't have a chance to ask you earlier. How are your uncle and aunt's health? He nodded. They're okay. Is your work going smoothly? He forced a smile and said with self-mockery, just so-so. I'm working in a mediocre company, and my work is neither good nor bad. Noah was quite capable. If he had met a good platform and colleagues, his career should have been as smooth as in his previous life. I didn't know what changes he had gone through. Anyway, it was his own choice. For a moment, I didn't know what to say. I changed the topic to something lighter. I thought you wouldn't come to this reunion since you're so far away. He looked at me with his deep black eyes. Because I knew you would come. I was speechless for a moment. He smiled and looked away. I just wanted to see you once. Nothing else. Noah looked at the dark night sky, and his eyes gradually became a bit vacant. Sophie, I've been thinking about one thing all these years. How on earth did I mess up my own life like this? I clearly had a bright future and a relationship that everyone envied. How on earth did I ruin such a good hand? Now my work is so-so, my wife and I don't get along well. My child has psychological barriers and refuses to talk. And my parents still have to worry about my family. I was a bit surprised. I didn't know any of these things. Sophie, I was really wrong back then. I was the one who couldn't hold on to my original intention first, lost my boundaries, and missed you. After finding that there were too many incompatible problems between Mia and me, I still chose to endure and make do for the sake of being responsible. Finally, even my own child suffered. You must think I'm a failure, right? We used to walk side by side, but now you're someone I can't even catch up with. After listening to him, I just felt a sense of pity. Noah, whether the choices in the past were right or wrong, they can't be changed anymore. So don't keep looking back on them again and again. It's meaningless. You should focus on the present and the future. We're still young, and there are infinite possibilities ahead. Don't be discouraged, Noah said in a hoarse voice. Thank you for your comfort. To tell you the truth, I'm not afraid of you laughing at me. I actually had a dream once. I dreamed that we got married after a long period of being in love, had stable careers, and a lovely, lively son. My eyes froze for a moment as I remembered my previous life, which I hadn't thought about for a long time. Since it was just a dream, don't think too much about it. A car was slowly driving over. I turned my head and said to Noah, "The car is here. I'm leaving now. You should go back soon too." I said goodbye to him and then opened the passenger door. Noah pulled me aside and asked, "Sophie, have you been flying solo all these years?" I froze for a second, then shook my head. "Nah," I responded, pointing to the guy chilling in the driver's seat. "I came back to China with my boyfriend." Besides the job, another big reason for my return was to talk about tying the knot. One evening after our wedding, I stepped out after cleaning up. Ethan was messing around on his phone, looking totally disgusted at something. When he saw me, he couldn't help but gripe, "Are scumbag's excuses getting any better?" It was like a super long short essay. What a waste of my few minutes reading it. "Curious?" I asked. "What short essay?" Ethan handed me his phone to check it out. There it was, the question, "What's the most regrettable thing in your life?" The top answer was from an account with an unforgettable avatar. I gave up a relationship with my childhood sweetheart, who everyone envied, and missed the girl who once loved me deeply. It was tough to comment on, so I gave the phone back to Ethan after just reading the first line. "Huh? You're not going to read more?" I got cozy under the warm quilt and said, "Didn't you say it was a waste of your time? Why should I waste mine too, right?" Ethan looked kinda miffed. "Why don't you keep reading to see how this idiot messed up his own life? If he hadn't been so dumb, he could have been a happy little guy like me." I tossed a pillow at him and mumbled, "If he wasn't so stupid, your wife would have been someone else." Someone with crazy hearing sensitivity piped up. "What? The end?" The older brother next door was a physics whiz. He wanted to quit the physics competition he'd been prepping for over half a year to take care of his girlfriend who had a fever. I told his parents about it. They dragged him to the competition venue, where he snagged first prize and got a recommendation to Harvard. Later, he started his own business, became an entrepreneur, and I ended up just working for him. In the gloomy basement, he was so bossy he crushed my finger bones. "Sophie, you're so petty. This is your karma." When I opened my eyes, I was back to before everything happened. Leo's slam dunk was epic, and he had those killer 8-pack abs. His lips were so thin. Kissing him must have been lit. In class, Lillian rested her chin on her hand, watching the basketball game outside the window. She tied her school uniform at her waist, showing off a bit of her slim and fair waist. "Lillian, don't be a chicken." Show some charm and win him over, the classmates teased. All right, I'll go on a date with him tomorrow, Lillian declared with determination, raising her fist. Wow, the school beauty Lillian is going to win over the aloof academic god herself. There was a burst of cheers in the classroom. Sophie, you're Leo's neighbor. Think you can do it? Suddenly, Lillian walked to my desk and winked at me playfully. Looking into her confident eyes, I snapped back to reality and gasped, covering my chest. Wait, Lillian is my desk mate. Yesterday, she saw Leo's name all over my notebook and laughed at me for being a coward and not confessing my feelings. Now she's making a big deal about winning Leo over. In my past life, Lillian asked me the same thing. I blushed and couldn't say a word, exposing my secret crush in front of everyone. Everyone knew I liked Leo. So, later when I stopped Leo from quitting the physics competition and reported their relationship, everyone thought I was just jealous. My biggest mistake in my past life was breaking up that couple. Thinking about that dim lab, I bit my lip and clenched my fists. I wish you and Leo a long and happy life together. Leo and I were childhood sweethearts, growing up together. I saw him staying up all night solving physics problems, getting up before dawn to memorize English exercises, and spending weekends working on Huanggang test papers without sleep. I saw him watching me solve problems under a quilt with a flashlight and taking exams while having a fever of 40 degrees. Only we knew how hard we worked for our grades. He was into physics. During summer vacation, we signed up for a tutorial class and dove into physics competition questions together. He said, Sophie, let's study physics and go to Harvard together, okay? In the sunlight, that golden boy shone bright, like an ideal within reach. So I did my best to keep up with him and chase our Harvard dream together. Until Lillian showed up. Lillian was the rebel in the eyes of parents and teachers, but a stunning sight to classmates. She permed her hair into big waves, secretly shortened her school uniform skirt, and danced hip-hop at the welcome party. Her unique vibe was irresistibly attractive to Leo's boring high school life. In my past life, Leo skipped classes, fought, smoked, and drank for her. Eventually, he wanted to quit the physics competition to take care of her when she had a fever. Because of my report, feverish Lillian was taken home by her parents and forced to transfer schools. Leo was sent to the competition venue by the teacher, where he won first prize and got recommended to university. After graduating, Leo started his own business and quickly amassed a fortune of hundreds of millions. By 30, he was the youngest billionaire on the Forbes list. After high school, Lillian married a wealthy second-generation local guy and was beaten to death by domestic violence. On the day she died, Leo tricked me into the lab, pointed at my nose, and yelled, Sophie, you malicious woman! How dare you live in this world? I want you to go to hell and be with my Lillian. In the dim lab, he crushed my finger bones, making it impossible for me to do physics experiments ever again. I sued him. The forensic report showed I was only slightly injured. He hired a top lawyer who sweet-talked his way out, and he was acquitted. After court, he smirked, Sophie, the company doesn't need trash who can't even do experiments. In this life, Leo and Lillian are low-key dating, skipping classes to go on dates and watch movies. On weekends, they hit up internet cafes to game together. During breaks, they sneak to the end of the corridor to kiss. I walked by with my homework. Leo reached out to stop me. He's into that flashy Lillian. She's like a pebble that shattered his dull 18-year-old life. He said, Sophie, don't come to me anymore. It's too boring being with you. I walked past without looking back, pouring all my energy into studying. It had been 10 years since I graduated high school before I was reborn, and much of my knowledge was fuzzy. To keep up with Senior 3, I had to work harder than ever. I studied nonstop, waking up before dawn to recite English words. At night, even when the dorm lights were off, I was still hiding under the quilt doing exercises, dreaming of math symbols. In my previous life, I missed Harvard by just 3 points. This time, I had to work even harder for my dream. I couldn't afford to pay attention to Leo and Lillian anymore. In the final exam of the first semester of Senior 3, Leo's grades plummeted to over 500th in the class, and I became the top student. I was in the office handing in the registration form for the National Middle School Students' Physics Competition when the teacher called Leo and Lillian over, scolding them fiercely. Leo, do you still want a future? Look at your grades. They've dropped so sharply. Are you still dating in Senior 3? Leo shrugged it off, putting his arm around Lillian's waist. "Teacher, I know what I'm doing." I tried to intervene. "I know you mean well, but you're worrying too much." Leo's mom is a junior high teacher and usually cares a lot about her image. This time, she didn't wear makeup. Her face was pale, her hair was in a messy ponytail, and she rushed to school. "Shut up, you naughty boy! How can you talk to the teacher like that?" Hearing Leo's response, his mom raised her hand, ready to slap him. Leo thought she was going to hit Lillian, so he stepped forward, holding her hand. "Mom, it's not Lillian's fault. Blame me if you want. You're being unreasonable. You can't hit Lillian." This just fueled the fire. Lillian peeked out from behind him, glaring at Leo's mom. "Old woman, on what grounds are you going to hit me? Just because you, at such a young age, put on makeup and led my son astray. How great his grades were and what a bright future he had, but you ruined it all." Without showing any weakness, she continued, "Ask your son if I forced him. It was he who courted me, smoked, drank, skipped classes, and hung out in bars. If an old woman can't control her own son, she takes it out on me instead." These words made Leo's mom so angry her face turned red. "Leo, how much effort has mom put into raising you? You're dating such a bad person and letting her insult mom like this." Leo pursed his lips and firmly stretched out his hands in front of Lillian. "Mom, I promise you that I will succeed in this life. I want to protect Lillian." His mom calmed down, took a deep breath. "Leo, mom doesn't have to stop you from dating. It's just that this girl Lillian is no good. It'd be so much better if you were with Sophie." I was stunned. This never happened in my past life. Back then, Leo had a solid foundation, and his grades didn't drop too much in the final exam. When it was the physics competition, after I told Leo's mom, she quickly sent him to the competition, and he got the recommended admission. So Leo's mom didn't come to the school, and she wouldn't have named me publicly either. Suddenly, Leo turned and glared at me. "Sophie, you tattletale, you still don't repent. Seems like I didn't hurt you enough last time." "What are you talking about?" I replied. "It was the head teacher who called me, and then I knew your relationship was affecting your studies. And you even want to hit Sophie." Leo's mom was shocked by Leo's sinister look and quickly clarified, "Great, Leo was also reborn." I ignored this drama, handed in the registration form, and walked out of the office. Leo caught up with me. "Sophie, I apologize for misunderstanding you." After a moment's hesitation, he added, "Sophie, I know you're back too. Hope you won't interfere this time." "Okay, I wish you a long and happy relationship," I replied calmly. In my past life, I already paid the price for meddling in others' business. I didn't want to get involved in others' karma anymore. If Leo was courting death himself, I wouldn't stop him again. Leo's mom didn't want to pay attention to Leo anymore. She took my hand and solemnly apologized. "Sophie, Auntie has watched you grow up since you were a child. It's Auntie's fault this time. I'm sorry. Auntie shouldn't have mentioned you. Can you forgive Auntie?" Looking at the few strands of white hair on Leo's mom's head, I let go of her hand. "Auntie, Leo and I are no longer on the same path. Our families had a good relationship. When I was a child, I grew up in Leo's mom's house. Now, we could never go back." Leo's mom sighed. "Okay, we can never go back. All right, Auntie understands." Seeing my hand clasped with Leo's mom's made Lillian's eyes turn red with anger. Leo's grades had dropped so much he was naturally out of the competition, and as the top student, I got the competition spot easily. Since this opportunity came my way in this life, I had to study even harder and grab it. During the whole winter break, I didn't go out once, staying home to do competition exercises. After the second semester of Senior 3 started, I learned Leo had fallen out with his parents. During winter break, Leo's parents planned to keep him home to study hard and cut off contact with Lillian. But Leo couldn't listen. They had a huge fight, and he stuck with Lillian every day. His parents threatened to cut off his allowance, so he moved out, renting a small house near school with New Year's money and scholarships he'd saved, dating Lillian there. By the time school resumed, he had already been living with Lillian for half a month. All this had little to do with me. I focused all my energy on the competition, overcoming obstacle after obstacle and making it to the finals. The classmates all said I should have taken his spot. I might have won first prize. Leo came up to me intentionally. "Congrats, Sophie. Hope you ace it." I didn't expect Lillian to see this, and her eyes turned red with anger. The night before the final, I got a WeChat message from Leo saying he had something to give me and to meet him on the playground. Before I was reborn, I'd given Leo many gifts. What's he got for me? I didn't think much and went to the corner of the playground as promised. The wind was cold and no classmates were around. I was standing there when suddenly a hand grabbed me and pulled me into the small woods beside the playground. I realized something was off. It was a trap. I struggled desperately and was about to shout for help when the guy noticed and covered my mouth with one hand, dragging me deeper into the woods with the other. I forced myself to stay calm and think of a way out. Under the dim moonlight, I could see he was a tall boy who looked kind of familiar. He was one of Lillian's admirers. He dragged me to a tree and threw me hard on the ground. Seeing I couldn't get up because of the pain, he quickly bent down to find a rope on the ground, planning to tie me to the tree. Taking advantage of his momentary looseness, I quickly opened my mouth. "Classmate, don't do anything. Let's talk it out. How about I give you all my living expenses?" "Yeah, I really have it. Please don't hit me," I replied, nodding nervously. "You should know I'm entering the physics competition tomorrow. My parents gave me 3,000 yuan for living expenses, and it's all in my school bag. I'll take it out and give it to you now. Please don't hit me." 3,000 yuan was a lot. Sure enough, he stopped and asked in a subdued voice, "You're not lying to me?" "Yes, I really have it. Please don't hit me." I nodded again, looking scared. "You better not play tricks on me. Hurry up and get the money for me." He paused the tying and looked at me. I quickly stood up and crouched halfway under the tree, fumbling through my school bag. My hands were shaking from fear, making my movements slow. "Hurry up. What are you dawdling for?" He pushed impatiently. Finally, I pulled out the stack of cash from my bag. In the darkness, the money glimmered enticingly. He couldn't wait and bent down to snatch the money directly. At that moment, I used the small knife I'd been hiding in my palm to stab his thigh. "Ah, you bitch," he cried out in pain, his hand recoiling. The cash scattered everywhere with a clatter. I didn't have time to look at him and just ran away. In my past life, Leo tricked me into the lab and crushed my finger bones. That heart-wrenching pain tortured me day and night. I hated not being able to fight back, so I always hid a knife in my school bag, a habit that stuck with me into this life. How could I trust one of Lillian's admirers? Luckily, I ran into the playground and met teachers checking the dorms. The teachers took both of us to the hospital and called the police. The police found ropes in the woods and believed he intended to harm me. I was acting in self-defense. The classmates stayed at the police station for investigation, and the next day, I boarded the train to Beijing for the physics competition with the teacher. 3 days later, I returned to school. After going to the police station, the classmate confessed he'd been instigated by Lillian. Lillian was convinced I tattled, and even though Leo's mom clarified the facts, she still hated me. Or rather, she was jealous of me, jealous that Leo's mom liked me and of my good grades. So she wanted to sabotage my physics competition. She lured me out in Leo's name and then had her admirer tie me up in the woods all night so I'd miss the competition. Since no serious harm was done, Lillian and her admirer were released by the police. On the day the school decided to expel Lillian and her admirer, my physics competition results came out. I was the sole first prize winner in the entire province. A TV reporter stopped me for a live interview. The college entrance exam is a crossroads in life. I hope everyone works hard and moves towards their dreams without slacking off. I shared my study experience, standing at the school gate with a huge banner congratulating me on winning the first prize behind me. The reporter's sister asked, "Classmate Sophie, where's your target university?" "Harvard University," I replied. "They have the most advanced physics labs there." The reporter's sister chuckled. "Then let's ask some ordinary high school students about their college goals." The next interviewee was Lillian. Living up to her reputation as the school beauty, she had been taken by the police for interrogation 2 days ago and was expelled from school when she returned. She looked pretty disheveled, but still caught eyes in the crowd. The reporter stopped her. "Classmate, you don't look too energetic. Is studying very tiring?" Lillian was momentarily stunned, then looked up at the camera and quickly adjusted her expression to seem energetic. It's pretty tiring. I'm studying hard." Then where's your target university for the college entrance exam? Lillian cleared her throat, about to answer. Huh? Lillian, you're still in school? Weren't you expelled? I quickly interrupted. Sophie, just you wait. You got away last time. But I'll get you sooner or later. Lillian gritted her teeth fiercely, momentarily forgetting the camera's presence. The reporter's sister was stunned, forgetting to lower the microphone. Lillian, did you have fun at the police station? I asked with a smile. This hurt Lillian's ego even more. You bitch! Just before she could start swearing, Leo pulled her back. Sophie, I apologize on Lillian's behalf. She just wanted to joke with you. She planned to set you free in the morning. Don't take it seriously. Leo held Lillian's hand and gave a furtive glance at the camera, signaling her to calm down. Lillian quickly retracted her harsh words. Leo, I don't accept your apology. The night before my competition, she tried to tie me up in the woods and ruin my competition. I don't think this is a joke. If I hadn't escaped on my own, and a girl was tied up in the woods late at night, you can imagine what would have happened to her. I calmly stated the facts. That day, the TV station conducted the interview live. People love gossip. The feud between me and Lillian was all over the internet. In the story, I was the good student with excellent grades but got bullied, while Lillian was the bad student with poor grades, involved in puppy love, campus bullying, and fighting. Even videos of Lillian and Leo skipping classes to watch movies were surfaced. I wasn't affected and kept attending classes and reviewing as usual, preparing for the upcoming college entrance exam. Lillian was harshly criticized online, feeling depressed and even falling ill. Just like in my past life, Leo took a leave to care for Lillian. The next time I saw Leo was at the class reunion after the college entrance exam. I was admitted to Harvard University without a doubt. I held a wine glass and smiled at countless congratulations until my face went stiff from smiling. I took a sip of fruit juice and happened to see Leo unintentionally. In a dim corner not far away, he carefully pulled up Lillian's overly revealing collar. Lillian was wearing a low-cut dress today, perfectly showing off her beautiful curves. A classmate noticed my gaze. Leo, your grades had already dropped, and you took a leave of absence for a while. You only scored a bit over 400 points on the college entrance exam and can only go to an ordinary undergraduate school. What a pity! You used to be a top student, always first in the class. In my past life, he was recommended to Harvard and had a bright future. In this life, he chose Lillian over his future. I'll wait and see. As the reunion ended, I went outside the dining hall for some fresh air. Leo followed me. Sophie, I'm out of money recently. Could you lend me some? I was almost amused by anger. Leo, are you out of your mind? How dare you ask me to lend you money to support Lillian? Leo kept talking to himself. Sophie, you know my parents cut off my finances, and I've already borrowed from all my friends. I really have no money left. I'm about to start my own business soon. You know I'll succeed. I'll pay you back 1,000 or 100 times over, okay? It turned out he always planned to replicate his past success and didn't care about his college exam results at all. Leo, I'm not that generous. There's no relationship between us anymore. I won't lend you money, I interrupted, wanting to turn around and go back to the restaurant. Sophie, Lillian is pregnant with my child. I must raise the child. Leo grabbed the corner of my clothes. What does that have to do with me? I didn't hesitate to break his hand away. When summer vacation ended and school started, I went to Beijing. In that school dream, I immersed myself in knowledge. Thanks to my past life's focus on physics, I handled all the courses easily, won teachers' appreciation, and conducted research projects with them. I also entered a speech competition. On stage, I spoke eloquently about my insights on physics to all the teachers and students. I won first prize in the whole school in that competition. After leaving that small school, I was surprised by the number of outstanding people in the world. I missed Leo perfectly during every winter and summer break, never meeting him once in 4 years. The next reunion was in Beijing 4 years later. I graduated from university and was recommended for postgraduate study at my alma mater. As a postgraduate student, I did odd jobs in my supervisor's company while working on research projects. My supervisor's small company had only a few people like me and my senior apprentices. Recently, they took on a large project and urgently needed to expand the staff. That day, my supervisor was heading to a meeting, and my senior apprentice was busy with experiments. He patted me on the shoulder. Anyway, we just need to recruit someone to run errands and print materials. No special requirements. Sophie, you go handle it. I was pushed into the role, responsible for recruiting new employees, with many people coming for interviews. After all, the salary in the recruitment notice was pretty good. Leo was among them. He had lost a lot of weight, and his suit was a bit too big for him. He sat silently in the waiting chair. Why do you want to work in Beijing? When it was his turn to interview and he saw I was the interviewer, he was momentarily startled. There are more job opportunities in Beijing. He paused before casually answering. After asking the routine questions, I directly rejected him. I didn't want to make things awkward. Sorry, you're not the talent our company's looking for. He seemed to expect this and didn't push further. He just nodded silently. After work, he stood downstairs waiting for me. Sophie, come start a business with me. Let's dive into researching algorithms together, conduct various material experiments, and attract investments together. In our past life, we could succeed even with nothing. In this life, with our experience, we're bound to make it. I still remember some core data of the robot developed by the company. We can succeed as long as we run a few experiments. He had a fanatic look in his eyes. He excitedly held my hand. Leo, why do you want me to start a business with you? It's you who don't remember the robot's core algorithm. I sneered and shook off his hand. At first, the core algorithm was written by us together, but when he heard Lillian was injured, he kept going back to the provincial capital to accompany her to see doctors and get medicine. Later, he even took Lillian out and settled her in his home. At that time, Leo hadn't started his business yet, so, naturally, Lillian wouldn't stay with him. After less than 2 months, she cried bitterly and begged a rich second-generation guy to take her home. While Leo was busy accompanying Lillian in the provincial capital, it was I who stayed up countless nights, lost a lot of hair, and redesigned the algorithm repeatedly. In this life, I didn't want to give him my algorithm. When I was on the phone with my mom in the evening, I learned that Leo and Lillian had broken up. After Lillian got pregnant, she had high material demands. After graduating, Leo gradually lost his top student halo and could only work part-time at KFC to support their lives. Lillian, fed up with the moneyless life, started selling goods through live broadcasts on online platforms. She was young and beautiful, good at flattering people, so she quickly became popular. The high school dramas were also dug up by netizens as negative news. Being notorious is also a form of fame. Lillian used her popularity to make a quick fortune. Later, she hooked up with the top spender on her live stream and abandoned the child, running away. Leo was so busy with school and taking care of the baby needing milk powder that he had no time, so he turned to his parents for help. Leo's mom took over the child. After graduating university, Leo came to Beijing to find a job. He said he'd make a lot of money and make Lillian regret her actions for life. I already knew he wanted to replicate the robot from his past business. He still remembered that the robot's core algorithm was written by me. In my past life, I was his subordinate. I spent 10 years starting a business with him, staying up countless nights, adjusting experimental data thousands of times until we finally had the intelligent robot. I spent endless days and nights with him. He was always cold and hostile towards me, and I'd long lost any feelings for him. I knew he regretted not being with Lillian. To make up for it, I poured all my energy into work. His success was our hard work at the cost of our health. But who knew he always harbored resentment towards me and crushed my hand? In this life, he doesn't have an impressive educational background, no capital to impress angel investors, and without my core algorithm. I'm really curious what he relies on to start a business. Leo opened a robot R&D company in Beijing. He persuaded Leo's mom to take out cash to support his business. In his past venture, everything went smoothly for him. He had an outstanding educational background and excellent past achievements. He impressed angel investors with just the preliminary results and got plenty of funds from them. In this life, his path to starting a business was doomed to be tough. Without connections and opportunities, he hit roadblocks everywhere. I no longer care if he can succeed. I won't interfere or help him. 2 years ago, my core algorithm was already used in one of my supervisor's projects. The company bought my technology, bringing me an annual income of over 1 million yuan. During the Spring Festival, I went back to my hometown. I'd saved money for years and finally bought a new home for my parents, a spacious, bright, and convenient flat in the city center. Sophie, there are still some things from your childhood here. See if you still want them. Mom pulled me to a cardboard box. The items inside were scattered. all memories of my youth. I vaguely remembered the high school diary filled with Leo's name and a model airplane he gave me as a birthday gift. But none of it mattered now. Mom, I don't want these old things anymore. A new home should have a fresh start. Amid the laughter and chatting, I heard loud knocks on the door outside. I peeked through and saw several burly men banging on the door of Leo's family across the hall. The old residential area wasn't soundproof, and there were also sharp cries of a child from the room. Leo has mortgaged the house to us. You must move out within 3 days. I asked my parents suspiciously, "What's going on?" My mom looked gossipy and said, "What a pity." My dad continued, "Leo from next door said he was starting a business in Beijing and tried to borrow money from relatives and friends everywhere, but no one dared to lend to him. So when teacher Stella wasn't home, he stole the property certificate and borrowed usury. Now he can't pay it back and has run away. Now only teacher Stella is left with the child left by him and Lillian, and they don't even have a place to live. Back then, Leo from that family had excellent exam results and used to study with Sophie. Who would have thought he became the black sheep now?" My dad continued, "Teacher Stella is really unfortunate. Her husband died when she was young, and she raised her son alone. But now the son is so disappointing." Hearing this, I felt sorry for Leo's mom. When the neighbors left, I called a moving company. Standing at the door, I watched the cardboard boxes being loaded onto the truck, one by one. Leo was hiding at the alley entrance, smoking. I pretended not to see him and turned to leave, but Leo suddenly grabbed my hand. "Sophie, I regret it. I've been regretting it for a long time. You helped me so much, but I still hurt you. I was really a bastard in my past life. Sophie, don't you like me? Shall we be together? As long as you help me start my business, I don't want Lillian anymore. Just the two of us staying together, okay?" He looked crazy and tried to hug me. I struggled to break free. "Leo, I don't like you anymore. Don't pester me." As I turned to get into the car, his voice trembled. "Sophie, then what should I do?" Without looking back, I replied in a deep voice, "That's your own business. It has nothing to do with me." I didn't expect the next time I saw Lillian to be in the news footage. The police found a large amount of drugs in her home. Lillian was escorted into the police car by officers, and what awaited her was legal punishment. The woman in the picture was pale and thin, with empty, lifeless eyes. There was no trace of the school beauty she once was. She ran away with the top spender from her live stream and abandoned Leo. The top spender was indeed a rich second-generation guy. His family was wealthy, and he really liked Lillian for her youth and beauty. However, good times didn't last long. After less than 2 years, the rich second-generation dude got tired of her and abandoned her. But she had already become addicted to drugs because of him. She could only get involved in drug trafficking to support her own addiction. I lowered my eyes and suddenly remembered a question Lillian asked me back then. She held Leo's hand triumphantly. "Sophie, your youth is so boring. No wonder Leo doesn't like you." I don't know if she regrets wasting her whole youth. I only know that I don't regret it. Youth is meant for striving, not for wasting. I'm the master of my own youth.